You either trade small or you go broke trying. You go broke faster than you think. Before you shrug that off as just another trading cliche, answer this honestly. If your next 3 trades all go wrong, will you still be standing or will you be scrambling to save what's left of your account? Because that's where this really begins. Not with charts, not with indicators, with survival, with size. When I was a young man standing in front of the bucket shops, chalk dust in the air and quotes racing across the board, I thought I had the market figured out. I had a good eye for the tape, and my early wins came fast and hard. That's the worst thing that can happen to a young trader, early success with big size. I started pushing larger and larger positions. It felt smart, it felt bold, it felt inevitable that I would be rich. Then one day, the market stopped agreeing with me. I remember sitting there with a position so large that every tick against me felt like a hammer on the skull. The stock started drifting down, then sliding, then falling. My pride said, "Hold. It will turn." The tape said, "You're wrong." I listened to my pride. Pride doesn't post margin. Capital does. By the time I finally got out, most of my stake was gone. One trade, oversized and unmanaged, had undone months of effort. I learned something that day that I want you to write in your mind in big, black letters. It is not the bad idea that ruins you. It is the big size attached to a bad idea. You will always have losing trades. What decides your fate is how big you were when you were wrong. Let me tell you why most traders disappear from the game. They don't blow up because they picked the wrong stock. They blow up because they tried to make too much too fast. With too much on the line, they confuse ambition with recklessness. Ask yourself, have you ever increased your position size right after a win because you felt hot? Have you ever doubled down on a loser because you knew it had to come back? Have you ever held a losing trade far beyond your plan because the size was so big you couldn't bear to take the loss? If you nodded yes to any of those, you're fighting the same enemy I fought my entire life. The urge to trade big to solve problems quickly. That urge is why most traders never see the other side of their own potential. The market punishes that urge without mercy. Trade small doesn't mean think small or stay poor. It means you treat your capital like oxygen. You don't waste it. You don't gamble it. You never put so much on one idea that being wrong knocks the air out of your lungs. Here's what trading small really means in practice. You decide in advance what percentage of your account you are willing to lose on a single trade. 1% or 2% at most. You size each position so that if your stop is hit, it's just a sting, not a stab. You accept that you will be wrong often, and you design your size so you can survive being wrong often. If you have $10,000 and you risk 1% per trade, that's $100 of risk. If your stop is $2 away from your entry, you can take 50 shares. If you're wrong, you lose $100. Not your composure, not your rent, not your career. Now here's the hook. You think that's too slow, don't you? You think, Jesse, I'll never get rich risking $100. Let me answer you directly. You don't get rich by how much you risk on one trade. You get rich by staying alive long enough for your edge, your discipline, and your compounding to do their work. Let's talk about psychology, because this is where your account is really made or lost. When you trade big, every tick feels personal. Every red candle feels like an attack on your intelligence. You don't see the chart. You see your rent money, your pride, your future, dancing on every price movement. You become blind. You stop following your plan and start following your emotions. You cut winners too soon to lock it in. You hold losers too long so they can come back. You add to the wrong trades and shrink from the right ones. Now picture the opposite. When you trade small, A loss is a tuition fee, not a funeral. Your brain stays calm enough to see the tape clearly. You can take several trades, lose on some, win on others, and still be standing, still thinking, still improving. I became a better tape reader, not when I got smarter, but when I reduced my size. Small size freed my mind to see what the market was actually doing, instead of what I wished it would do. So ask yourself right now, are you trading to impress yourself today? Or are you trading to still be here, stronger and wiser, 10 years from now? Let me take you back to the roaring 1920s. The market was roaring like a freight train with no brakes. Everyone was suddenly a genius. Men who had never read a balance sheet were buying on margin, doubling and tripling their accounts, borrowing from the broker, borrowing from the bank, borrowing from their future. They weren't just trading, they were sprinting blindfolded on the edge of a cliff. When the crash came in 1929, you know what killed most of them? Not being wrong about the direction. Everyone is wrong sometimes. What killed them was the size of their bets and the leverage on top of that size. One bad swing, and they were done. Lifetime savings gone in days. Those who traded smaller, who respected risk, who didn't bet the farm on the boom, they hurt. But they survived, and survival is everything. You can only capitalize on opportunity if you're still in the arena when it appears. Same story today, only the tickers changed. Stocks, Forex, futures. The tools evolve. Human nature doesn't. The trader who over-leverages dies the same way, just in front of a different screen. You'll hear people praise my big wins, the shorts before the crashes, the big trends I rode. What they forget or choose not to remember are the times I broke my own rules and paid the price. More than once, cotton taught me that lesson. The problem wasn't cotton. The problem was Jesse. I took positions that were too large. I averaged down instead of cutting. I turned trades into prayers. The market does not answer prayers. It answers position size. When you look at your own trading history, don't just look at the winners you love to tell stories about. Look at the disasters you don't want to talk about. Every big disaster has the same fingerprint. Too much belief, too little respect, too large a position. Write this somewhere you can see it every trading day. It wasn't the trade that killed me, it was the size. Let's get practical. I want you to walk away with a framework you can start applying today. Step 1. Define your trading capital. This is not your rent money, not your emergency fund, not your children's school fees. This is money you can afford to keep in the market as trading capital. Be brutally honest. Step 2. Choose your maximum risk per trade. If you're new or inconsistent, start with 0.5%, 1% per trade. If you're experienced and proven, you may go up to 2%, but that's the ceiling, not the starting point. Step 3. Place the stop first, size second. You decide where you're wrong on the chart support level, invalidation point, whatever your method calls for. Then you calculate your position size so that if that stop is hit, you only lose your chosen percentage. Step 4. Never move a stop further away to make the math work. If you have to move your stop wider so that your position size looks bigger, you are not trading. You are negotiating with reality. Reality always wins. Step 5. Accept small losses as routine. Losses are not emergencies. They are operating expenses. When you trade small, you can treat them that way. Lob them, learn from them, move on. Step 6. Scale up only after proof, not after hope. When you start to see real, consistent results over many trades months, not days, you can consider inching your risk percentage higher, but you do it slowly, methodically, not in one emotional leap after a good week. This is how you build a career, not a lucky month. Let me tell you a secret most gamblers never learn. The most powerful force in trading is not the home run. It's compounding. When you trade small and protect your capital, you prevent big drawdowns that take months or years to recover from. You keep your emotional capital intact. You give your winners a chance to stack on top of one another. Take two traders. Trader A risks 10% per trade, swings wildly, doubles his account, then loses 60% in a month, and spends the next year trying to get back to even. Trader B risks 1% or less, grinds out steady, modest returns, avoids catastrophic months, and keeps building year after year. By year 5, Trader B passes Trader A quietly. By year 10, Trader A is gone. Trader B is just hitting stride. The market doesn't reward the loudest, the bravest, or the most aggressive. It rewards the one who stays in the game long enough to let small edges and small gains pile up into something big. Let's talk about you at the screen. You sit down, charts glowing, quotes flickering. You see a setup that looks perfect. Your pulse quickens. Your mind whispers, if I go a little bigger on this one, I can make back last week's losses in a single shot. That voice is the one that ruins traders. Trading small is how you silence it, or rather, how you make it irrelevant. When your risk is predefined and modest, you don't need this trade to be the one. You don't need a miracle. You can watch it objectively, follow your plan, and take the outcome as feedback, not judgment. Imagine losing on a trade and feeling fine. Curious, not crushed. Motivated, not desperate. That's what happens when the loss is small by design. Emotion follows size. If every loss feels like a crisis, I want you to walk through a thought experiment with me. Imagine this month goes badly. The market is choppy. Your setups don't follow through. You have a string of losing trades. If you are risking 1% per trade, 10 losing trades in a row, an extreme run knocks you down. About 10%. Painful, yes. Fatal, no. You can recover with discipline and time. If you are risking 5%, 10% per trade, 10 losing trades can cut your account in half, or worse. That's when traders snap. That's when they revenge trade. That's when they push all in, desperate to get back what they lost, and finish the job of blowing up. Trading small is not about the good times. It's about protecting you during the bad streaks that will come. You don't prepare for the sunshine. You prepare for the storm. Let me hook you with a truth most will never embrace. The best trading often looks boring from the outside. Small, bought D, consistent risk per trade. No wild swings in equity. No dramatic all-in moments. No heroic stories of turning $500 into a fortune overnight. But the trader behind that boring equity curve sleeps at night. They are still here year after year, sharpening their craft while the gamblers vanish one by one. Traders who chase excitement don't last. Traders who chase stability do. So the next time you feel that itch for a big one, ask yourself, do I want a big story, or do I want a quiet account that grows for decades? Let's bring this straight to your desk. When you finish listening to this, I want you to do 3 things. Look at your last 20 trades. On each one, write down what percentage of your account you are truly risking if your stop had been hit. Be honest. Include slippage. Include the fact that sometimes you move the stop just a little. Decide on a new, lower, maximum risk per trade. If you've been risking 5%, cut it to 1%. If you don't even know what your percentage is, start by deciding that from now on, it will never exceed 1% until you have months of consistency. Commit in writing. Write a rule. I do not risk more than X% of my capital on any single trade. No exceptions. Put it where you can see it every time you trade. This is not theory. This is your armor. Every time you feel the urge to size up beyond that rule, understand what's really happening. You're not trying to get rich. You're trying to get lucky. And the market doesn't pay lucky traders. It buries them. Let's look ahead for a moment. Picture yourself a few years from now. You've survived different market conditions. Bulls, bears, chop. You've logged hundreds of trades with small, controlled risk. You've learned which setups fit you and which ones don't. You've grown your account steadily, sometimes slowly, but without blowing it to pieces. You're not guessing anymore. You're not gambling anymore. You're running a business of speculation with rules, not impulses. That future version of you exists only if today's version of you decides to trade small enough to stay alive. Trade small, and you give that version of yourself a chance. Trade big, and you may never meet them. I've lost fortunes and built them. I've made brilliant decisions and foolish ones. But across it all, one principle has proven itself again and again. Your first job is not to make money. Your first job is to keep money. Trade small to protect your capital. Trade small to protect your psychology. Trade small so that your skill, not your luck, decides your destiny. So now, let me ask you one last, serious question. Are you ready to stop acting like a gambler, risking it all on size, and start acting like a professional, trading small enough to survive, learn, and compound? If your answer is yes, then your next trade should be smaller by design, by rule, by conviction. This is Jesse Livermore reminding you, the game is never over until your capital is gone. Trade small, trade disciplined. Trade long enough to truly become the trader you were meant to be.